Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of our Fresh Starts experts, Janice. Janice, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Hello, Olivia. Glad to be back again. My name is Janice Berner, and I am a CDFA, which is a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, and a CPA. And my practice is financial planning for people going through or having gone through divorce.
Amazing. Well, I'm really happy you're back today because as many people know, I do one-on-one divorce resource consults with a lot of people, men and women, and I help them find the support system they need. And I've had a lot of people come to me recently who have the same question. And so when I get the question a lot, I call Janice back in to answer. So the question goes something like, well, we're considering divorce, but we have a significant amount of debt. So where do you get started in the divorce process if you're carrying a lot of debt and you also want to get divorced?
Okay, great. So I look at that question and I see a few different questions within it. If that's okay, I'm going to try to go about it that way. One of the most important things as you approach divorce is to have resources to sort of cover you during your divorce. And that might be for retainers that you need to pay to your lawyer or a mediator. It might be to pay your bills if you need to miss a little time out of work. So in general, I'd like to just step back and answer the question that way and say, have some savings before you take this on. The second thing I want to answer within that question is, should we pay down debt before we get divorced? I would say no. And the reason why, of course, stay up on your bills and pay the minimum, but don't pay it all off because you need what we refer to as liquidity, which is just another way of saying monies or liquid monies to pay all of the costs of living, your normal cost of living as well as the cost of divorce. So you need some padding, you need some savings in the bank. We always need that, whether we're going to get divorced or we're sick or something happens unexpected with our car. So don't pay off all the debt. So those are two sort of pre-answers to the big answer. So what do we do if we have a lot of debt? To get acquainted with the divorce process as far as debt goes, it's often forgotten, to be honest. So I'm glad someone's asking this question. Many times people think, of course, of the assets that need to be split. Well, debt also needs to be split in divorce. It ends up that each party is only responsible for the debt that's assigned to them. What does assigned mean? Well, you might have your own student debt that you took out or you brought to the marriage. It's not in both of your names. That means assigned to you. You could have joint credit cards. Those need to be split at whatever percentage ends up working out in your divorce settlement. So don't worry that that won't be accounted for. Do bring it up, though, because it is forgotten sometimes. It is not just assets, but also debt that needs to be assigned and split up. So the first thing you'll do is you'll draw up a list or inventory of all of your assets and your debt. We call that a net worth statement. When you do list out the debt, put down all the terms. You know, when is this debt from? Is it premarital? Is it during the marriage? Is it since the separation? And why is that important? Well, we can assign ownership better that way. Okay. We also want to list out, and this starts getting into the general question of how to pay down debt, interest rates that are being charged to you. And the reason that's important is because as you start to recover from divorce, which by the way takes about 3 to 5 years financially to do, you'll pay these things down as you can. And of course, we go in the order of highest interest rate. Sometimes we call it laddering. We'll pay down the smaller amounts and accomplish that, and then we'll move on to the next card. But having a good list of what it is that you own, but as well as that what you owe, is pivotal to understanding how to manage all this going forward and not losing track of any of it. Tell me if at any point you have another question, but otherwise I'll keep going.
Yeah, keep going. That's fascinating.
Okay.
That's super helpful information.
Good, I'm glad. Another good thing to remember, Olivia, is that we don't want the debtors, people who lent us the money, whether it be a credit card company, a student loan company, a mortgage company, to lose track of us If you move as part of your separation, definitely need to give them new addresses, okay? If you're having trouble making payments, it could be news is better than you think. You've been overpaying. It could be that you're paying more than the minimum, and we would just recommend that you go down to the minimum and pay that. You don't want to skip payments or disappear. The impact on your credit is incredible, and we don't need that on top of all the other pressures that you're going to have in life. So I would just recommend that you see somebody like me, a divorced person, a divorce financial specialist, to help you think out your next steps before you make them and before you make a decision that's hard to reverse. So try to keep your credit score up. That's a tip I give all of my financial planning divorce clients: is run your credit report as you're approaching divorce, or even if it's never too late, by the way, you're in the middle of the process, run it. Why is that important? Because we do have to think, you hate to think this, but you do have to think that not only can you impact your credit, but your soon to be ex spouse could as well. Meaning they could go and try to take out credit in both of your names. No one knows, and you're not actually divorced yet. They could be not paying a bill that they promised to pay. That impacts your credit too. So this brings us really to one of the biggest things that I want to point out, which is it's never too early to pull on the advice of professionals, attend sessions and workshops and get the knowledge and meet people and sign up for their complimentary session and ask them the questions. Be ready ahead of time with, how can you help me do this the best way possible to do it so that I'm protected and I'm not surprised in the end that um, maybe if I waited too long, now the assets aren't there that I thought were going to be there. Suddenly the account is much lower. Somebody could have chosen to spend it on who knows what. It could be furniture for a new apartment, but it could also be a trip. So these
Mhm.
things do happen. You hate to think that, but especially when we're going through something emotional, many times people use money to make themselves feel better. And that's going to impact both financial lives because now we have less to split.
Mhm. Mhm.
Last thing I think I want to say about it is that you want to have available credit. You might have joint cards right now. You might also have your own credit card. Make sure that there's some money left on it to spend or to have available if there's an emergency, or if you need a retainer to pay half of or something for some professional who you need. You don't want to be money penny wise and pound foolish and not ask for advice because you need the help. So before you close down joint credit cards, always look into, how much credit do I have on my own, and can I apply for my own card? Is the goal to be able to establish credit in your own name and not be sharing a card where you have the other person using up the credit limit. You want to have your own, as well as that you want your own bank account. So if you only have joint ones right now, you definitely want to have your own bank account that you can monitor the money coming and going. You also want to make sure that it's funded. And the reason for that is that nobody should be destitute. So as you're all separating, you don't want it to be unknown. How am I going to pay the bills? Where's the money coming from? We have joint monies in an account. Let's move it there. Let's get this all separated out and track it all and speak to your legal counsel as you go so everyone knows what's going on.
Mhm.
Once you file for divorce, there's a financial restraining order in place that says you can't go through and go ahead and spend soon to be divided marital assets. But prior to the divorce, nobody wants anyone to be sort of, I guess, at a disadvantage and not having the liquidity that we mentioned earlier to pay for things. I hope that's helpful.
So helpful, so helpful. So can you just tell us what exactly is a CDFA, and what do they do? Why do we need one?
A certified divorce financial analyst is someone like myself who's been working in finance and personal finance for a long time, who helps you with a comprehensive look of your financial picture. So, everything that can and may go wrong in your life, whether you're divorced or not, as a financial planner. And someone with that divorce background has worked on many, many cases as part of a team with either mediators or attorneys, and assists both you and your professionals in the decisions around things like which assets to try to retain as part of the split, and things like identifying the debt and knowing all of those different financial nuances that may not occur to you, especially if you weren't primarily the money spouse in the family. And even if you were, you're going through something very hard to manage. They say that divorce is the second most stressful thing, right?
Yep.
Besides death in a family.
Yep.
So you need someone to help you get organized and to shoulder some of that stress and help you pull it all together first, know where you stand before you get started, and help you project out in the future. Not on a flat sheet of paper, but heck, I want to know for my clients, even after the divorce is over and that 3 years has passed, you're still going to be okay. And by the way, you can still dream and still have hope. And we're going to sketch that out so you can see your financial future in front of you in a positive way.
Oh, I love that so much. Where do you work, Janice?
I have Many offices throughout New England. My primary office is closer to Boston in the Wakefield area, as well as at Wellesley, Massachusetts, and then in New Hampshire and southern New Hampshire and Boston
Amazing.
downtown.
Amazing. Well, we appreciate you so much, and you can learn more about Janice and get in touch with her over at Fresh Starts in the Expert Guide. Janice, this was so important, and I hope that people save this episode and listen to it and share it with a friend because, most people have debt, and so when they're going to get divorced, that is something you're going to have to think about. So we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here.
You too, Olivia. Thanks for asking, for all the work you do.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.